All right, welcome back, ceramic students. Mrs. New here. We are going to continue on with our mask project today. I have had this in a bag. I pulled it out the next day, and now I'm just going to take my sponge and really smooth it in and really sort of find the shapes underneath of the form that I'm using, and really try to smooth all these edges and make sure nothing's going to be sharp. Make sure nothing's looking too thin or that it's going to break off. And now I want to really work on the face, the facial details. So these are a couple reference photos that I printed to kind of have next to me. So I always like to start with the eyes. So let's talk about eyes when you're sculpting. One way that I learned how to do it was to basically, first of all, make a eye socket. So kind of pushing in for where the eyes are going to go. And then actually making two eyeballs. So kind of two little balls of clay. And this is a little big. It's hard to do with gloves on too, but I'm gonna try my best. So I'm gonna make sort of where my eyeballs are gonna be. And then I'll show you a trick for making them look a little bit more realistic. So one of the things to always keep in mind is when you're adding anything, right, we're gonna kind of slip and score as we go. And the little wooden tools are really helpful for this project. These wooden sculpting tools, I find that for this particular project, I really like to have those around, and I'll kind of show you why here in a minute. So here's my little eyeballs, and you might be thinking, well, that looks weird. Well, you're right. So the next thing I'm gonna do is make sort of like an eyelid that goes around this. Let me kind of show you what I mean here. So I'm sort of scoring and slipping as I'm building. I've also got really soft clay. So I'm sort of adding a coil up here on the top. I'm going to do that on the other side. So this is not my eyebrow. I will put something like that into, but this is actually going to be kind of like my eyelid. So let's see if I can kind of show you what I mean here. So I'm going to wrap the little eyeball with those, and I'm going to do it on the bottom too. Okay. So there's that and this. Now, I feel like I have some students that like to cut out the shape of the eyes. And I would discourage you from doing that. And let me tell you why. When you cut out, let me show you this one. I mean, it's fine and you can, but when you cut out the shape of the eyes, you lose a lot of expression. Because if you think about it, a lot of our expression as humans, or animals even, are in our eyes. So be thoughtful if you really do want to cut out the shape of the eyes, that's indeed like what you want to do. And to me, that means you're going to have to find your expression elsewhere within your design. Does that make sense? All right, so I'm taking my wooden tool and I'm kind of blending this on there. And again, I'm just kind of smoothing everything on and building with these little modeling tools is actually what they're called, right? These little wooden modeling tools. But see how that can kind of make it look like a little bit more of a realistic eye? I feel like it's getting there. So I blended that on. Now I'm kind of smoothing that around, and I'm feeling pretty good about that. And of course I would go over all this with a wet paintbrush, so I'll show you as I keep building here. But let's kind of think about a nose. So on mine, the noses are really exaggerated and kind of big. So I have a pop out here for the nose that was on the form, but I'm gonna pop it out even more than that. So what I'm gonna do for a nose is take kind of a bigger piece, make kind of a carrot shape. So my green man is gonna be, I don't know, do you know that, I think it's like your nose that never stops growing or something on your face, or is that your ears? I don't know. So I'm taking a kind of a triangle shape, I guess, and I'm gonna take something and kind of shove it up into both sides and make some nostrils. Because if you think about it, we have holes in our face. Like, it's kind of weird. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. All right, ooh, I like that little nose. And again, yours doesn't have to be this exaggerated, but I do want you to think about something on your face that might be exaggerated. So that was looking pretty good. I like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and slip and score that on there. Again, my clay is really soft today. And then again, what's really important is not just to like stick it on there and call it a day. You really need to kind of blend these on there because you want it to look like that nose is really growing, you know, out of this face, and that it's not just tacked on there, I guess, or glued on there. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to my little modeling tool and blend some of that clay down. And again, I can blend with my fingers, and I'll probably end up doing everything with a wet paintbrush as well, but really blending stuff on there. So now it's got some personality going. These eyes are kind of fun. This nose is crazy. I like it. Okay, so now I can start to think about the mouth. So there's a couple ways that I've learned how to do a mouth. One of them is just with an extra slab. So one thing you can do is just draw on, you know, the shape of a mouth, kind of like that, you know, kind of like you would draw it. And you could cut it out, whatever shape you want. And you could slip and score that on there and you'd have a mouth. Another way to do it, which I kind of like better, is to make a coil. So I'm just going to make a little coil and roll it out. See if I can roll it kind of even. And I can do a lot of things with this. Look at this. I could make an open mouth look, which is kind of fun. I can make kind of a mouth like that. Or I could kind of push them together, you know, and get kind of a mouth like that. So I kind of like the coil method a little better. So let's say I want to make it a happy green man. That's looking pretty good, right? And again, if I'm going to add this, I'm going to slip and score and kind of put the, oops, I scored my nose. Uh-oh. And kind of tack this on there and really blend it in. Okay. So day 2 of your mask is really when your mask starts to come alive. It starts to kind of look back at you. And I would encourage you to add pieces of clay. Now in the next video, we'll talk about pressing in texture and like drawing and carving and how you can do design work with that. But day 1 is really to really add kind of your main pieces of your face, which is probably going to be, you know, eyes, nose, and mouth. Ooh, I like that mouth. I'm going to keep working on it and blending it, okay? One last thing on the eyes before I turn you loose on this video. It has no pupils. Let's give it some pupils and see if it looks a little bit more alive. Oh yeah, look at that. I'm so excited. So I'm going to keep working on my green man mask, and then the next video we'll talk about adding texture and some finishing steps. All right, thanks guys, bye.